The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Dan Eve, the Crypto Raptor,
Greetings and salutations.
Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister.
Pound that like button!
And moving on to issue one. Issue 1. Banks tried to kill crypto and failed. Now they're embracing it slowly. Digital payments technology is forcing the financial system to evolve. Banks feel their power waning and want to regain control. As well as Australia's largest bank to integrate Bitcoin services in their app. Bitcoin is everywhere. Dan Eve, your thoughts about the banks suddenly in favor of crypto?
It's the classic. If you can't
join them, and JP Morgan have been for years. We've covered it before, but teetering on the in tampering. Sorry, what's it called? Tinkering with the blockchain. So they had they've had JPM coin. They've got their own private blockchain. I don't know what the point of that was, which is what Quorum. I think they rebadged Quorum and then sold it onto a startup or something. But with their own JPM coin, I think they were told by the regulators that they couldn't use it externally. So it was like a proper intranet coin, an intranet Bitcoin, like the dumbest type. So you could only use it inside the company and it let you settle stuff in real quick time, like a normal database can't, apparently. But anyway, they sold that on. Now they're lobbying against cryptocurrencies because they see the threat. And before it was just a case of laugh at Bitcoin because Bitcoin's this ridiculous magic internet money, and it's almost like they they didn't want the regulators to do anything because, as we said before, it kind of adds legitimacy if someone not endorses it but recognize it. As soon as you recognize Bitcoin and it's not this joke that people talk about at the end of a night out in the pub and laugh, or say the night out at the end of the office Christmas party in the bank, and they're like, oh, Bitcoin maybe next year. And then they're like going, oh shit, we should have stocked up on some Bitcoin. That some people did, but JP Morgan, they've had a history of telling their own staff that they'll sack them if they traded crypto. So they've kind of wavered quite a lot, but ultimately it's the old tortoise in the hare. The Bitcoin has caught up with the banks, especially now that El Salvador is being becoming the biggest national. It's having a national use case. It's being rolled out nationally with the help of Lightning. And the fact is, if you spend too much time laughing at something, you don't realize how it's creeping up behind you and growing bigger than you because you've got your back turned and you're like, dismiss this stupid technology. But they did. So just the last thing is that JP Morgan, I think they had something like 170 failed big blockchain patents around about 2017 or 2018. And actually I was reading earlier, which I was quite surprised, but Bank of America is now like the biggest holder of blockchain based patents from the banking side with 160. So they're kind of I wonder if they're trying to overtake the notorious patent trolls Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright and N-Chain with their blockchain patents. But I don't know, it's all waffle because there's only one Bitcoin.
It's always great to see banks competing with others for patent trolling. Adam Meister, your thoughts on banks and Bitcoin?
Dude, I love that non-American way of saying patent. You're freaking sophisticated when you're hearing patent. You're on the original show, the original freaking Friday show, people. I am so freaking pumped. Thomas, thank you for having me on here. And what do banks care about? Everybody likes to vilify the banks. They want to make freaking money, okay? So, of course, it was only a matter of time before they would get into Bitcoin. I never believed the BS they were going to destroy Bitcoin. No, they were going to jump in and love Bitcoin, bring it in, tell all the normies they were going to hold it for them. And that Bank of America, Wells Fargo, you want to get into Bitcoin before they get into Bitcoin, okay? I've been yelling and screaming about that for a long time. And now we're at the point where, those big banks, They're in the Bitcoin. JP, I don't care which, I don't know the difference between them all, okay? It was only one day closer to them holding lots of Bitcoin. And so many people are like, oh, why would you want to be into Bitcoin if the banks held it? That's the point of Bitcoin. Your worst enemy can hold it, and you can't do anything about it. No one can do anything about it. That's what makes it freaking awesome. So you should be free. If you hate banks, if you're envious of banks, if you think the banks screwed you, you should be happy they're buying it hand over fist, okay? If you already bought it. Or, I mean, if you didn't, then they beat you. And I mean, you're just like, you talk the talk, you don't freaking walk the walk, dude. But yeah, of course they're holding it. All these people that say, I mean, predicting for years, there'll be no more normal banks anymore. No, they will become so much richer from all this. Because the normies, most people still don't want to hold their own Bitcoin. They still trust those brand names like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. So they're going to make a killing by simply holding people's Bitcoin, which is really a simple thing to do. And, you're talking about the patents, this, that, and the other. They can experiment on so many different things. Some people over there were just, I mean, maybe they wanted to hire, one manager wanted to hire more people to do things. He thought he was smart. They realized that, what's the point of creating your own cryptocurrency when you can just charge people to store the real thing? And I mean, it's quite a business model they got over there. But it's going to work out pretty well for them. But at the same time, don't be envious of them. Don't be angry that they're buying up a bunch of Bitcoin, because it's just making you richer if you're a holder, okay? And everyone's got an opportunity still to beat these guys to the punch. Well, not as much, but still, they haven't bought up all the Bitcoin, and that's impossible to do. You still got your chance, people. It's still it hasn't even gotten close to the 6-digit realm yet. And some of these banks won't feel, quote unquote, comfortable with it until it does get to the 6-digit realm. So we're still relatively early in on this. Of course, I mean, this is not 2016 early anymore, people. And you should have been watching freaking World Crypto Network back in 2016. All right, pound that like button.
It is amazing how much things have changed. In the old days, it was all Adam Meister, the Bitcoin group, Mad Bitcoins, other people like this talking about Bitcoin, while JP Morgan and these famous investors were warning you to stay away, that it was rat poison, that it'll go to zero. All of this just scared people away. Meanwhile, it's completely flipped now. The banks are now into crypto. They're embracing it. And we were right. So it's great to have Adam Meister here today, who said the whole time, just stay humble, stack sats, be a Bitcoiner, and ignore these ups and downs. It doesn't matter until you have to sell. And if you have a job, you can just keep stacking, live humbly. And I just want to recognize Adam, one of the original Bitcoin YouTubers here, is with us today.
Thank you. Buy and hold, strong hand. People said it was boring. The results aren't boring, dude. Maybe I'll be driving a Lamborghini in your neighborhood soon, dudes. Hopefully, one of these days. No rush to get the luxury car, though. No rush. But yeah, Thomas is the freaking original. And hey, much credit to you, much love to you for just keep on doing it. Keep on. It might not be fancy sets and graphics, but it pays off in the long run. What we've been talking about, dude. So it's
well, and it was funny
for
for so long. We were collecting these little, like, in my Bitcoin era, it was all like 0.1 or 0.01, 0.001. We weren't the many Bitcoin people of the previous eras. And now to see people switching it to sats and trying to be a Satoshi millionaire and trying to build it up that way and starting from the bottom in that direction is great. But it also makes me sad of all the opportunities missed. What could have been an easy gain buying those 0.1s and those 0.01s and those things that seemed too small previously, that change you wouldn't pick up off the floor, now thousands of dollars almost out of nowhere.
We're of the era where if we find some old wallet, there might be 0.01 Bitcoin in it because we thought it was $6. It was $5. We just forgot about it. That's of our era. But you're right. Before 2013, there were dudes who were giving away 100 Bitcoin at a time. I mean, well, they'd have 100 to give one to this guy, one to this guy, one. I mean, and made us. And because of that, I thought I was like, oh, I'm a little late here. But over the long run, oh no, we were so freaking early, man. So it was early then. And the other thing you bring up about JP Morgan, seriously, for all the people that hate on JP Morgan, they got scared by JP Morgan too. If you hated them so much, why did you do what they said to do? They were calling it rat poison, all this stuff, but plenty of dudes that work there, including probably Jamie Dimon, were secretly buying it. They're smart guys. They know how to, they know how to talk the talk and then do the opposite in the background. So learn on your own, people. Do not pedestal these people. Do not pedestal these people, because in the background, they're probably buying it too.
The other point to make is that a lot of people ended up with 0 Bitcoin because they just couldn't try it. And I had this problem for a long time where I was like, well, I missed it. I missed it at $1 or 10 or 100 or whatever. I can't get any, right? But if I just bought a few, then they'd be worth a ton now. And if people had just bought that 0.1 or that 0.01 that they thought was too small to hodl and that they couldn't start anywhere, start somewhere. Stack it, put a little bit in. If you have, 1% exposure to Bitcoin, 10% exposure, it's going to be more than 0 in the future. And I think that's been proven really well these last few years.
Yeah, great, very, very good point there. I mean, there was just the excuse making that people came up with and still come up with. Just get some skin in the game, dudes. It'll be worth something eventually. So, if good memories there, beautiful memories.
Moving on to the exit question, the price of Bitcoin this time next week, higher or lower? Keep in mind that you are competing against the Bitcoin prediction ball. Dan, Eve, higher or lower?
I'm still going to go higher. I'm still hopeful for 69,420 next week.
Adam Meister, will you go higher than 69,420?
You're the second dude to bring that up, and I was just like, I'm not 12 years old, but it's funny. I said, well, I'm always positive. It's always around November 10th for some reason. I'm very happy, and so that's next week. And I just there's always good things that happen around that during Bitcoin, always weird things. So back in 2017, people might not remember, that was around the Bcash pumpage around then. Oh man, we've been through so much. So yeah, it will be higher, but what the heck? I can't predict an exact number, but this 69,420 thing is so freaking hilarious, man. We got to have more people saying that are not 12 years old. It's great. It's great.
Well, I am 12 years old, so it's difficult.
I used to just think it was a great thing that it broke 1,000 or around or anywhere along there. Let's go to the ball. Will the price of Bitcoin be higher this time next week? My reply is no. The ball is bearish. Watch out, people. Could be dangerous out there. Moving on to issue 2. Issue 2, Squid Game rug pull. The Squid Game cryptocurrency scammers made off with $3.3 million, thanks to the help of the mainstream media. Yes, the Squid Game coin had nothing to do with Netflix, nothing to do with the South Korean group that produced the TV show, and you couldn't sell the coin. Yes, you couldn't sell the coin, yet mainstream media news outlets like the BBC, Yahoo News, Business Insider, Fortune, and CNBC all acted as the promotions department for the Squid Game scam, saying in breathless articles that the price had risen 83,000%. Adam Meister, who's responsible for the Squid Game scam? Is it the scammers or the mainstream media who blindly promoted an obvious scam that we laughed at last week, and now we cry a little as $3.3 million is somebody's life savings, and I'm sure they miss it?
Well, it's the scammers' fault. I mean, the scammers created it, but the scammers saw a few weeks ago when Walmart was using Litecoin and the media fell for it, right? So why not? They found out, and this will work again because it's, normies are watching TV all the time. Okay. So, come up with something that has to do with some mainstream normie thing that everyone is talking about, which is apparently this Squid Game thing, and just say you made a coin about it and then rip people off. It works. And the media picks up on it because they don't know what cryptocurrency really is. They know what Squid Game is, and it seems pretty cool. It'll get clicks cryptocurrency and Squid Game, maybe what these scammers did is they figured out, well, those are the two most popular things on Twitter right now. Why don't we combine them and rip people off? So it was a very good scamming formula. Most people don't want to, go beyond the surface at all. And apparently the mainstream media doesn't like to do much research anymore either, which was proven a few weeks ago with Walmart Litecoin lie. And so this is just another version of that. And, if it seems too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Okay. I mean, so I just want to prepare everyone. This is going to happen over and over again. And the mainstream media will keep on because they just move on to the next thing. They don't even have retractions anymore in the mainstream media. So we'll see all sorts of combinations. Fake, Elon Musk NFTs, whoever's the most popular person of the day, scammers will combine with NFTs, with coins, with who knows what. But in the end of the day, it is the scammers scam. They created something that was dishonest, so it is their fault. But I want to warn everyone, as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency become more and more mainstream, they're just we've seen the scams increase over the years. So there will be more and more scams. And some people, to their very dying days, refuse to even admit that they've been scammed. They'll still be like 10% of the people that still think they're getting a Squid Game something or other. So be careful. Be careful out there, people. But this was predictable.
Well, and speaking of Walmart and Litecoin, just today there was another breathless press release from Kroger saying that Kroger would accept Bitcoin Cash. Of course, it sounds false, and it was false. It's a completely made up story. The media is already writing the second round stories. Kroger has no idea what Bitcoin Cash is. They never put out such a press release, and it makes no sense on the face of it, just like Litecoin and Walmart made no sense. Dan, Eve, your thoughts on Squid Game rug pull?
Well, I think I even said last week, I was sat there like going, I think it was $2.22 when I read the article. And then by the time we did the show, it was $11.80. And even I was sat there going, well, it would have been, wish I'd have known about that. But obviously within 48 hours, it went to $2,800 before an absolutely epic fail, dropped to nothing. The thing is with the newspapers like covering it, you kind of think to yourself, well, because they're mainstream, although they're promoting it to a certain extent, most people who read about it, they're not interested in, or they don't even know what a DEX is or anything like that. So they're probably not likely to see it. But those people are going to get cooked in because they won't see that the Squid Game failed. They'll actually see that article and then go for the next thing that they see that's going through the moon. And so someone phoned me the other day and they were like, I just went into Shiba, and I was like, but it's an all-time high. And they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, it's the highest it's ever been. Like, that's the one rule, is that you don't buy something when it's the highest price it's ever been. Like, because it's probably going to take a little bit of a dip first. So you got to hold your horses a bit. And, my best analogy is, if you look at a chart and think, I wouldn't ski down that, then it's either time to sell or time to not buy, because it's already risen that hard that it's probably going to fail. There was a pretty hardcore video of a guy, I think he was watching the Squid Coin pump up to something like $2.1 trillion, $2.1 trillion. Of course, it just completely usurped Bitcoin in a single pump down to zero. But it caught a lot of people out, and it's really sad. A lot of people lost a huge amount of money, and it does happen. It's going to happen again. But going back to the papers and the news outlets that are kind of reporting on it, as you mentioned, they don't even have to kind of do redactions anymore. They don't need to follow up. There's no responsibility on them to follow up and say, hey, we completely, we weren't promoting this, but or at least follow up just saying, hey, remember Squid Game we talked about? Squid Coin, sorry, that's now zero. So don't be an idiot. That's what they should be doing, is following up with another article saying, hey, this is what happens. It went up, but no one can actually take their money out, and it's going to go back down. And watch out for this in future. They should be educating people, not trying to coax them in by saying it's gone up 17 trillion% in 5 seconds. But it's almost like, by law, you can't yell. It's that thing, like you can't yell fire in a cinema, but a news outlet can do whatever the hell they like, it seems, without having any social responsibility or accountability. And even, printing the most ridiculous headlines that have, not in this case, but have nothing to do with the actual article, or aren't even remotely true, or they pick on, it's just, I don't know. It's I hate regulation, but I think news needs to be regulated a bit, right? It's about time. If Bitcoin's going to be regulated, then the news needs to be regulated a bit more.
I think they need another R word. They need responsibility. The news media needs to take responsibility for what they're doing, and no one's going to like this, but they need to grow up. I remember when we started in Bitcoin years ago in 2013, every little piece of news, we'd be excited. A cafe in Hungary takes Bitcoin. It's over. A gas station in Wyoming takes Bitcoin. We are the kings of the world. Whatever happens, we were super excited about it, but we were very early, we're very new. And the mainstream media is in that same thing right now. They don't know anything. They don't understand anything at a complex level, so they can't see the difference between Squid Coin and Bitcoin. They're like, it's brand new. It has coin in the title. It's the same thing. And they just go back to their templates of articles. They have the template that they write when Bitcoin is down. Bitcoin is down and it's never coming back. The template when Bitcoin is up. Bitcoin is up, and if you'd had bought it, you would have made X%. And they're coming into this world of altcoins and Metaverse and NFTs and all these things that they don't understand, whose values are insane sometimes, and they're just blindly reporting on it. And that's not what we need. We need a responsible media. We need a grown-up media. And we need a media that, like us, like right here on the Bitcoin group last week, we all took a risk and we called out Squid Coin. Dan was saying, wow, I could have invested. Meanwhile, you couldn't even sell the coin. With any level of due diligence, the media could have said, wow, there's no link to Netflix. You can't sell the coin. This looks like a scam. And that's what their articles should have been about. The same thing now with these Dogecoin copies like Shiba Inu. They're breathlessly reporting how much money people have made and how much money you could be making, but they never take any chance to say, what are the fundamentals of this? What does it do? How is it similar or different to other things that have worked or not worked? And their failure will continue to cost a lot of people a lot of money. That's very sad. Moving on to the exit question. Will there be more of these? Help me predict the next Squid Game scam. Adam Meister, what popular thing will be made into a breathless and amazingly valuable coin soon?
Well, I'm going to take it to the lowest level here. There'll be another dog coin of some sort. We've got 1, 2, 3. Why not a fourth and a fifth and a sixth? Well, they keep on falling for it. Something as simple as a pretty looking dog on a fake coin or something like that. Why not that? I'm not even going to go into the mainstream. I think it's as simple as just creating another one of them. Maybe it'll be, instead of, because the Shiba one is like an Asian dog coin. Dogecoin is like the American one. Maybe there'll be an African one or something like that. I don't know. Something is, and it'll be totally fake. It'll be just a one coin of some sort. So maybe a combination of something that's popular in popular culture with a fake dog coin and one coin. I don't know. You can go a lot of different ways with this, but they will fall for it. Oh, so someone said Josh was in the house. All right, I will defer. Enough of me talking.
Seems like a solid prediction. I could see Golden Retriever coin taking off. A very popular breed of dog, Black Lab, also wonderful. And I think Adam's right there. If you look at Ken Bozak and his amazing bro punks, he also has bro dogs. And he doesn't just have Shiba Inus or Doges. He has every breed. And again, they could all be coins. Dan, Eve, what will become a coin next? You make the call.
The problem is that, reality is always stranger than fiction. And I shit you not that there is already this is on CoinMarketCap, no, the shameless CoinMarketCap. No offense, but bonus Squid Game. That's recently added. Dogs of Elon, because Elon Doge or whatever it was called wasn't enough. You needed Dogs of Elon, and Metaspatial was also on the recently added. But my favorite one of today, which is also happens to be the biggest gainer at 652.5%. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm saying don't buy it. Remember the ski thing? That's skiing down. That's literally like a black slope, like off a cliff, right? Don't ski down that. Snakes on an NFT game. That's it. So again, it's got it's got Samuel L. Jackson looking cartoon, probably not actually him, of course, or certainly not endorsed by him. But shooting a snake on an NFT game with these self-generated NFTs. So 652%. They're literally just coming at their left, right, and center, and people will still buy it because I don't know. They just buy it because they want to be on the next. They want to be on the next doggy train, right? That's it. So I can't even call what the next one's going to be. It will probably be I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a Jamie Dimon dog coin. Maybe they're going to go down that route, and they're going to say that it's endorsed by Jamie Dimon. I don't know, or rat poison coin, another one endorsed by Jamie Dimon. But I don't know. They're all too crazy to even call.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've had enough of these MF and snakes on this MF and NFT. Quite enough. Here's my idea. I think we should go with WorldCoin. Oh, wait, we did WorldCoin already. No one told those Silicon Valley guys. They think they can just do it again. Josh Shigala, we're talking about the incredible failure of Squid Game, the incredible rug pull. Was the mainstream media responsible? Or is it all the scammers' fault? Josh Shigala.
No, definitely all the scammers' fault. And the mainstream media are just like idiots as well. Like I see the mainstream media exactly like the buyers of this nonsense. They are a hype train. They are everything that regulators are there to stop, basically. And the problem that we're seeing is that we're going to get the government putting on their superhero costume, wandering out to this weird circus and going, "We'll save you," and really they're just nonsense. The fact of the matter is these newbies that are coming in, and maybe some of them aren't noobs, they're seeing good opportunities. They're going to get burnt. They need to get burnt. They need to go, "Oh, that hurts. Maybe I won't put my life savings into a meme coin." Like maybe realize that just the word, like it's literally you're betting on the name being popular with everyone else. It's there's no real reason that you've got to think, will this coin be around and popular in 5 years' time? If the answer is no, then just, I don't know. I mean, personally, it's not an investment advice, but I would stay away. Saying that, I'm buying Squid Game.
It always reminds me of that classic line from the Conan O'Brien written monorail episode of The Simpsons. A town with money is like a mule with a spinning wheel. He don't know how he got it, and he don't know what it's for. Josh Shigala, what will be made into an NFT next? Real or false? What will they do next?
Well, I mean, I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. I really think the case for NFTs are very, very interesting in terms of the DeFi space, not in terms of putting artwork in as collateral, which is also a little bit interesting. But the problem there is the liquidity is too low. Where the real interesting stuff comes in is packaging CDPs up as NFTs with underlying collateral and being able to split those. If anyone remembers the housing crisis of 2008, a lot of that was caused by CDPs being split up, sold, repackaged, then split up again, and then these rating agencies saying, "Yeah, that's AAA," when really there was crap in them, but no one knew how to really look inside of them to see the crap in them. And then they would and like libraries in in small municipals in Australia was buying like real garbage property from Texas. It just went insane. But the good thing with NFTs online in this space crypto NFTs would be that you could actually see what's inside of them and what's packaged, even no matter how many times they get split up and resold and repackaged. And you could have actual rating agencies rating the actual content of NFTs. So I think that's what should be. Instead, I think you'll get absolute crap being NFT'd.
It's funny because when we first talked about NFTs, I really do think that the promotional value is there. But for them to be promotional, you have to make thousands or hundreds of thousands, which is so easy because you don't have to print them. You don't have to store them. You don't have to ship them. It's genius for promotions. But what's interesting to see people go the other way, these one of ones, which are obviously very valuable. If you own the CryptoPunk with a cigar, you are the cigar owner. I get that. But at the same time, I thought they should be plentiful, cheap, and maybe even almost free, trading around like nickels because of the incredible low cost of storage, low cost of sending, low cost of creation, none of which has changed. It's gotten even easier across the board to make NFTs. You don't need a programmer. You don't need a company. Moving on to the next issue. Check out the WCN Clips channel, WCN Clips on Twitter. Google WCN Clips. We've got all kinds of great clips from the Bitcoin group and other shows on WCN Clips. Issue 3, F Coindesk. Well, not really F Coindesk, but it is interesting to say as the trial of Kleinman versus Wright begins, Coindesk is covering it like any other mainstream media article, as if they didn't know anything about Wright and his history of scamming the Bitcoin industry. They walk in like a noob. Is this the kind of coverage that we need from Coindesk, this blind, mainstream media-esque idiot coverage? Dan, Eve, what about Coindesk and their strangely neutral take on an obvious scammer who has been attacking the Bitcoin industry for years?
I think it's insanity to say, like, didn't the article, like the headline was something like around the ownership of the 1.1 million Bitcoin, and anyone who knows Bitcoin knows how ludicrous that is. A court case over the ownership. There's one really easy way to prove ownership with Bitcoin. It's by signing a private key or sending some of that Bitcoin. Otherwise, you don't own the Bitcoin. Like, it's not like the judge can go, "Oh, I order you, blockchain, to give Craig the Bitcoin." Go on, you just give him the Bitcoin. Then no, it doesn't work that way. Like, you need the private keys. And you know what Craig Wright is, he's come up with, obviously he's been caught out multiple times being a fraudster, and I will say very quickly, when I was sitting in front of me at a Bitcoin powwow dinner in London, Satoshi's probably dead anyway. So I really don't think it's him. Right in front of me, less than a meter away, and loads of people were there. The fact is that a judge can't just make him hand over the private keys. Sorry, can't make the Bitcoin blockchain hand over the money. Like, that's not how the Bitcoin. It's not how it works. Like, you know, if he had the private keys, which he obviously doesn't, then he can just move it himself. That's how he proves ownership. He doesn't need a judge to do that. You don't need an arbiter in that situation, because the blockchain, the mathematics, the code is the arbiter. That's the person that's the unit that decides where the Bitcoin goes. But I like how he's using. I've noticed there's a few other scammers, actually, Bitcoin scammers. You know who you are, who pretend that autism is the reason why they're scamming as well, and that's kind of a big part of what Craig Wright's doing. He's saying that, oh, it's his autism that's actually causing it. So he's coming up with any excuse he can not to just use his private keys to prove who he is. They had the Back to the Future thing, where he was "You're a great Scott, Smarty. I'm waiting for someone to deliver a thing," and he stood there in his raincoat, and no one that delivered his private keys at the beginning of the year, or was it last year? I don't know. It all just flies by now. But it's just a shame that people still give him, like, they give him air, like they give him they give him, I don't know, credibility by pretending that there is some sort of actual real fight going on, when there's really not. There's definitely no fight whatsoever. Wasn't it Arthur Van Pelt who was, so after Craig Wright said, "Oh, he applied for the intellectual property rights of the white paper, and people were like, all the Bcash guy or BSV folks were like, oh, that means it's truly the guy. But anyone can do that. And I think Arthur Van Pelt was someone, he himself actually applied for a Bitcoin copyright of the white paper. So all of these things are just ridiculous. This theater, it's circus tricks, and annoyingly, the people, you either know this or you don't. And unfortunately, people who are only just getting into Bitcoin are seeing this drama about it, and they're actually believing these headlines. And it's really, I think, quite irresponsible of Coindesk to put an art. They could have put something that's a bit more. I don't know, a bit less sounding like it's actually got legitimacy to it, and it doesn't have a shred, and it's laughed at amongst the Bitcoin community, and hopefully it's all going to be over soon. I just can't hack it. Although one thing I did like was, which is quite funny, was Craig. I don't know if anyone saw it, but the Craig Wright video of him playing with a sword, and everyone was like, "Oh, Craig, this is amazing!" And he's there like waffling around with his sword in his suit. I won't miss that, but I definitely I will miss stuff like that, but I won't miss him pretending that he's Satoshi. And really, what is the lifespan of someone giving false claims, false evidence, falsifying this, falsifying that? How many times do you have to be proven wrong before you give up? So just please give up for the best of everyone, Craig.
It's interesting how we talked about Squid Game and the media in a previous story here, and how the media now, the Coindesk, which should be the pretty high level of Bitcoin media, is doing the same thing. They're like, let's give Squid Game coin a chance. There's two sides to this. Sure, one side's got the tiki torches and they're chanting anti-Semitic slogans and they ran a girl over with their car. But let's listen to them too. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They've got swastikas on their arms and they're saluting and things, but we got to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I don't think Craig Wright has any more benefit of the doubt. I'm sure Coindesk in the past has done story after story about him not proving it, not moving the keys, not signing the coin. And again, you know what Satoshi would do? He wouldn't talk. He would be out enjoying his life with his billions and billions of dollars, and he wouldn't be talking. He wouldn't be in court. Could you imagine if you had billions of dollars and you went to court? What are you trying to prove? Who even cares? You know what you did. If you are Satoshi, if you are the creator, you don't really have to go out there and prove it and be like, oh, I did this, I did this. The real creator kicks back with his feet up and doesn't bother with this court case legitimacy nonsense. I doubt this very much, and I'm very disappointed in Coindesk once more, as I was disappointed in Coindesk many years ago as Mad Bitcoins when they did an article comparing Bitcoin to Napster, when it was very obvious that Bitcoin was BitTorrent. It was distributed. It didn't have a centralized server. It was just a very bad analogy. And now it seems 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, nothing's changed. Still nothing coming out of Coinbase. Apparently this person graduated in 2021. So it doesn't seem that they're very familiar with the working world, and they're not very familiar with Bitcoin or Craig Wright. Adam Meister, your thoughts about Coinbase's friendly coverage of
Coindesk.
Craig Wright? Coindesk.
Coindesk. Let's definitely get that right. Well, it's you were saying he should give up because people aren't going to fall for it anymore. No. He's got a cult. At least 10% of the people out there will keep expecting him to do what he says he's going to do. You might remember that in 2019, people were like, just wait until the start of 2020. Just wait until the start of 2020. He's got a big secret. He's got a big reveal. Dude, we're like almost at 2022 now, and they still believe his nonsense. He knows he can get away with it because he's psychopathic, I guess, or a sociopath. I don't know. Whatever one. Keep on lying and lying because 10% of the people are going to fall for it. So, Thomas, your comparison of the Squid Game, I thought you brought up the Squid Game story and this story to contrast it to show how it's the same darn thing. The mainstream media of cryptocurrency, of Bitcoin, at sometimes is just as disgraceful as the mainstream, as the regular mainstream media. They are algorithm slaves, okay? The reason they are printing this story is because they know they can get clicks. That's all. That's all they do. And so they are slaves to the algorithm. And then the people who actually click on it and believe it, they are also algorithm slaves, okay? They just go to what is fed to them. It'll get high into the Google search and everything. It's a disgusting, vicious cycle, and they feed into it. If that's their business model, that's their freaking business model. I don't talk about this guy on my channel at all. I don't bring him up at all. He knows that people are going to keep talking about him. And so, but at the end of the day is, what is this man's end game? What is his end game? And what it is to, keep on getting in the news for these bogus trials and these bogus lies. But eventually that his cult members will be like, okay, it's okay. Since he's really Satoshi, we will give him the Satoshi coins of BSV. And that's millions and millions of dollars he will eventually get in BSV. Because they will say he's Satoshi, they will rig the blockchain over there because it's centralized to give him all the BSV, and so and then he can be a multimillionaire through BSV at the same time say that he's Satoshi because he's got Satoshi's BSV. If these dudes want to cover altcoins, here's something for you. If you want to cover altcoins or forks of Bcash, because all BSV is a fork of Bcash. Do you guys know that the other fork of Bcash is worth more now than the BSV fork of Bcash? Not Bcash itself. The ones that came up, the one that Amari is in charge of. It's called eCash also, right? The one that was it was Bcash ABC, then it became eCash recently. Even that is worth more than this freaking BSV thing, yet Coindesk feels the need to cover the guy who's in charge of the 50th most valuable cryptocurrency out there. One of these random fork of Bcash is all this thing is, but his end game is to get millions of that random fork of Bcash and become rich off of all the sucker cultists that are out there. And yes, so everyone that keeps talking about him are giving him lending credibility to his less than legitimacy, but still, he knows exactly what he's doing here. And just all these algorithm slaves, don't be an algorithm slave. That is what I've said over and over again. And this is just total algorithm slavery on the part of the mainstream crypto media that will continue to cover weird stories like crap stories like this because it gets them the clicks and it gets high in the Google rankings.
Here. Josh Shigala, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually I contacted Andreas Antonopoulos, who was also at the court hearing, to give basically a bit of an explanation about crypto, and then Craig's lawyer said, well, have you ever mined? And he's like, well, no, I haven't ever actually mined. He's like, well, you're not an expert, you're not an economist, you're not a cryptographer, and you've never mined, so why are we listening to you? Not an expert. And I contacted him and said, man, I didn't know you were not an expert. What am I doing listening to you the whole time? And we had a bit of a giggle, but I really think this is all a distraction. Like Squid Game is getting more attention and more money and stuff than this thing. There are actually, believe it or not, some people trying to build stuff on this chain that are actually quite intelligent, which is weird to me. They're trying to do some stuff, and I just think, man, why would you support that guy? Like, why would you support that dude? It's quite perplexing. The whole thing is really, really interesting on a human psychological level of what is going on there. But like Dan said, just sign the keys, dude. The funny thing is, his excuse used to be, well, I don't want, would you show your bank account? I'm like, yeah, but you're saying you're Satoshi, so everyone assumes that's your bank account. Like, if you say it, then that's all I'm saying is, can you prove it? Because that way we can all just relax and say, okay, Satoshi was an asshole as a human being, as a story, he was kind of cool. Fair enough, whatever. I would take that. Of course, there are people that wouldn't. They'd say he stole that and this and that. But for me, that would be enough. Sign it. It would be enough. But he refuses to do that, and that for that reason, I just don't listen to him. I don't give him any credibility. I barely talk about him. It's just I hope that other people see the amazing technology that's happening. The developers on that see the amazing technology that's happening elsewhere, and hopefully put those brains to power elsewhere, rather than supporting someone who makes a claim and then refuses to actually do the easiest thing, like Dad said, to actually sign the block and just get it over and done with. And then people are like, whoa, he doesn't have to. It's like, yeah, look, well then I don't want to hear about him. I don't want to see him. I don't want to smell him. I don't care. Yeah, that's my take.
As to Josh's point as why people would build on this, I'm reminded of what Milton said, where he said, it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. And for so many of these programmers and cryptographers, if you're not the first string, if you're not the elite, the best of the best, you can't really program on Bitcoin. You can't really add to it. You have to be very high level to do that. But if you go down to an altcoin or a copy or a fork or whatever they are, suddenly you're the lead developer. Suddenly you're an important programmer and your decisions matter. And they better be good ones, because if you screw up, you could destroy your entire coin, your entire fork. So I think a lot of people are drawn by the idea that they could be a big fish in a small pond, and there's tons of small ponds out there. Moving on to the exit question. After Craig loses his trial, will he go away? Or will he come up with a new scam? Maybe he'll claim to be Prince or Michael Jackson. There's still a chance. Dan, Eve, what will fake Satoshi do next?
He will linger around the room like a smelly fart and with no windows forever. I don't think he'll ever give up, because and people and you're going to have to smell him forever. And people like he's got an army behind him. He's got he's bankrolled by Calvin Ayre, who obviously he's got so much money that he can just pay for all these random ridiculous legal battles, and he's just got a support network of people that are basically so invested in thinking, well, obviously a lot of them probably bought BSV, and so who wants to look like a complete twat when you've told everyone that Craig Wright is Satoshi, you've put all your money in BSV, and you really, it's like that thing. It's really difficult when you've been scammed. Like I've been scammed a few times, and you tell yourself you weren't scammed, and you can come up with all sorts of excuses, but it's hard admitting to yourself that someone's pulled the wool over your eyes and you've been scammed. And these people they're all invested in Bitcoin SV. They've all probably shouted about it, got into arguments about it over the internet, and they just feel like complete twats if they were to have to go, oh, actually, I don't think Craig Wright's actually Satoshi. So it's a shame, but he is probably going to be around forever. But the whole thing's just if him saying he can't sign it's just a complete. It's like a paradox. Like he said, what is it? He said, I do not have when asked to actually sign the private keys or move some Bitcoin, he says, I do not have the courage. I cannot. But as Josh pointed out, if everyone knows that Bitcoin is Satoshi's, right, and you're saying you're Satoshi, then the argument that you for example can't bring yourself to sign the private keys is the same as it should be the same as saying I can't bring myself to claim that I'm Satoshi. Like you're saying it to a friend, it's like, oh, I am Satoshi, but I just can't bring myself to say it. You've already done that. You said you're Satoshi, so in theory the private keys are yours. The Bitcoin is yours. So the idea that you can't sign the private keys or you don't want people to know about that million Bitcoin being yours is ludicrous.
It is interesting, if you tell people about a scam and you try to save them money, they'll often be happy. They'll come to reality. They'll say, that's a good one. I almost lost a lot of money. But if you tell people that they're in a cult and you try to deprogram them, you try to bring them out of the cult, they actually get angry at you. They get more mad at you because this is their core belief. It's not just something that they invested their money in. They invested themselves into it. And that's the difference between a scam and a cult.
I am King Arthur. I pulled Excalibur out of the stone. Oh, yeah, do it again. I don't have the courage at the moment. Not really. I'm trying. Oh, maybe next year. I will. I'll prove it.
Let's go to Adam Meister. What will fake Satoshi do next? Although I think you had a little preview of that already. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, he'll just come up with a new excuse. And as the panel said, it's an interesting experiment in psychology. This is that people just keep falling for it. Why they keep? Yeah, I think 10% of the world population never admits they're wrong and loves cult leaders and just can't make up decisions, can't think for themselves. So he'll always have an eager audience of worshipers. And you know, the question is, Thomas, you also brought up, or it was brought up, why are smart people programming? And you said a big fish in a small pond. I think it's more so Calvin Ayre is paying them a lot of money. And again, we have to remember the end game of fake Toshi here. It is to get Satoshi's BSV so he doesn't have to be the BITCH of Calvin Ayre anymore. Fake Satoshi is not a rich man. He lives like a freaking little parasite off of a billionaire. And deep down, I hope he's watching this, that he knows he's a little parasite leeching off of a, can't make his own darn money. He's a little leech, like those 15-year-old girls that are in pictures with Calvin Ayre. He's one of them, living off of Calvin Ayre. So I understand his end goal is to be a real man, to live for himself, to have his own wealth, and to steal it from the BSV blockchain and say, these are Satoshi's BSV, I deserve them because I'm not a 15-year-old little girl, I created it or something like that. So that's the end game. That's why he keeps doing this over and over again. But remember, people, he is not a wealthy man. He lives off of a wealthy man. If that wealthy man dropped him, he would be a bum in the streets of Australia. Okay, that's what he would be right now, or be a 15-year-old little illegal, you know what, in some developing nation that they seem to like to enjoy hanging out with those little girls. It's disgusting. All right, enough of that.
Yeah,
maybe Calvin's eyesight's failing him, and he thinks that he's one of those like young lap dancers. Craig's one of the young lap dancers.
Well,
I don't know.
The other thing is Bitcoin just turned 13. So it's just the right age for Calvin Ayre.
Not going to touch that one, but it is interesting going back to the cult thing. The tattoo just doesn't rub off, right? You got the cult tattoo, you're trying to rub it off, it won't go away. And I also want to talk about the origins of the phrase, don't drink the Kool-Aid. For those people in that cult, I forget the name now, but they were all going to drink the Kool-Aid. They were going to go to another planet. The space aliens are going to take the true followers. I think it was the Jim Jeffries cult, something like that. I'm close. And they were all going to fly away to another planet. Instead, the Kool-Aid was full of poison. Drinking the Kool-Aid led to your death. You didn't get to go to another planet on a spaceship. It's not too late to not drink the Kool-Aid. You still have a chance, people out there. There's hope for you. Josh Shigala, what will fake Satoshi do next after he loses the trial? Just like Adam said, he threatened people with the flaw in Bitcoin years ago. He said that he had the coins and he was going to sell them all and he was going to wreck all of our markets. He even sued the developers. He sued the white paper people, which again is a reason for Coindesk, not to cover him in such a neutral way. This is not a neutral character. He's not new onto the scene. He's done many negative actions towards Bitcoin, and he's provided no proof, like Dan said, of a claim that he made himself. None of us said he was Satoshi, this random computer science from Australia who doesn't have a supercomputer but says he does. He said he was Satoshi. He made the claim. So the whole courage not to prove it, don't claim something if you're not going to prove it. Just stay home. Josh Shigala, what will he do next?
It's an interesting case. As far as I understand the case, if he loses, it does mean he's Satoshi because the court case, that means he would have to pay Kleiman, his family, a whole bunch of stuff. If he wins, that means he isn't Satoshi because then that's as far as I can sort of tell here. Or maybe, I don't know. I really haven't studied it that much, but the fact, I am pretty sure that if he loses, it means the court has decided that he is, and he has to pay across. And that's when the excuses will come out. I think what he's doing here is building judicial cases in old school law to define his authority on Bitcoin and that he invented it by building a case. Look, it's so diabolical. The whole thing is so diabolical and weird that I find it hard to grasp, man. Like that this guy is actually, I don't know, man. I think if he wins or loses, he'll still be around. He'll still be making it. It's exactly like I'm waiting for the guy to show up. Like you said, Dan, I'm waiting for this bonded courier to show up. You know, because I'm Satoshi, I trust some random courier company to deliver half a key of billions of dollars years in advance. Like, man, how does it? I don't understand. I get really confused because I've actually got some close friends that are really deep in that nonsense. And I just think, wow. I don't know. It's confusing. I'm very confused by it all. Seeing people fall for this stuff is really, really sad and awful. And at the end of the day, there's so much excellent technology happening in the whole sphere in the crypto space. And the fact that you're trying to build a decentralized mechanism with terabyte blocks that obviously cannot gigamax coins that can't be propagated around the internet fast enough, so it will definitely allow certain miners to constantly be the winners. And there's just so many problems. I'm not going to go into any further. I don't think he's going. I just think he's going to scam. Is going to scam. He's going to keep on scamming.
The beauty of the long con is you just keep running it. You just keep building on it. You just keep lying. So it will never stop. Moving on to issue 4. Facebook, citing societal concerns, plans to shut down its facial recognition system. Yes, it was the automatic tagging program that no one wanted, and they turned on without your permission or without consulting you. And now, just as suddenly, it's gone. Many people were shocked by this decision of Facebook, especially that they're claiming they're going to actually delete their face archive. But wait, maybe it's just Facebook that's stopping the use of facial recognition technology. It's Meta that will continue the use of facial recognition technology. So let's go to Smiling Adam Meister about the latest 1 step forward, 2 steps back from Facebook on facial recognition technology.
Yeah, it's just temporary. People thought they came up with the Meta name to distract from all the bad media attention they've been getting. They did this to distract from all the bad media attention they've been getting. Okay, yeah, they'll get rid of the facial recognition for a while, and it will come back. It actually, guys, Facebook is free. You volunteer to put all your information on there. Who cares if they have facial recognition? I mean, if you don't like it, then don't be on Facebook anymore, okay? They didn't have to do this. They're a private company. I have no problem with them doing their facial recognition thing. It was very strange when I would put up a picture. I'm not a big fan of it. I put up family pictures and stuff. When I put up a picture of my mom from like 1960 something, and it knew it was my freaking mom in 2014, it was pretty amazing. It's pretty interesting. And Thomas, your bigger point is also all sorts of governments use this to freaking spy on us. Okay, so if you opt in to a website that is, recognizing your mom from 1962, that's a you problem. Okay, that's you. You don't have to do it. If you're so concerned about a private company, if they have it, if they don't have it, they don't use it. What we should be concerned about is the ways that governments are using it, how they're keeping track of us. Every little move that we make, we're walking around downtown. They could say you were here, there, the other. Again, Facebook is a very innovative company, and I have no problem with them having it. They will have it again. It wouldn't surprise me if all of this is just a game of words. Also, that maybe Meta will continue to have it, and the Facebook subsidiary won't have it. I mean, it's they're giving into the mob right now. It's public relations, clearly. A clear move, but it won't last. They will come back to it. It is it can be used in cool ways for private companies. I think we can all admit that. I mean, the cool thing, technology is awesome, but something that you don't opt into, like the government doing it, now that's something we should be concerned about when it comes to facial recognition. But it's a boogeyman. It's a boogeyman. They're using it to deflect from the bad publicity that they're getting. They think this is good publicity. Look, we're giving in to the mob. We're being a good citizen for a company. So that's my take on it.
And while it was creepy, in many ways, this was one of the core and useful features of their product. Like Adam's saying, if you put up a picture of a bunch of your friends, it tags them all. Now your friends know they're in the picture. That's kind of a positive thing. The government stuff's a little more creepy. The Facebook stuff's creepy if they start using it against you and such. But it does seem like a core part of their original product. I agree. I think Meta's just going to run right over this, do whatever they want. But it's nice to celebrate a small victory every once in a while. Josh Shigala, your thoughts on Facebook turning off facial recognition for now?
Yeah, it's a really, really fascinating conundrum. Look, God, what I liked about Facebook doing it, it was getting in people's faces. It was letting people understand how powerful this technology is, and making people aware of it. The thing is, Facebook turning this off doesn't mean the technology goes away. These cameras are everywhere, and COVID as a thing. This pandemic is really allowing power grabs, whatever side of the fence you're on. If you're on the, for COVID, against it, we all can agree that governments can take advantage of this moment. And we have stories coming out of Russia, out of many countries saying, we want to take all camera feeds from shopping centers and shopping malls and put them all into feed them all into a central database to scan for faces and issue fines for anyone not putting the mask directly over their mouth. And for the mask situation, they're getting very, very good at determining just the eyes for facial recognition. So the technology is extraordinary. It is one of the technologies that really allow someone like George Orwell to turn in his grave. It allows a state apparatus or a mafia or anybody that's in control that uses violence to control people to do it at an extraordinarily cheap way for anybody that might disagree with them. And so by Facebook actually putting it in your face and having it on a small consumer app, people can be aware, because there's been technology like for years, for instance, Alex Jones was saying, they're spying on everybody. They're spying on everybody. It's going to these huge things inside these doors, and they're filtering the internet and stuff. And it wasn't until Snowden came out and said, they're spying on everyone. Everyone's like, oh, like because when what I'm saying is that if you take the technology away and people don't understand that what the capabilities of it are, they might not believe you when you say it can be used, like they can track your walking, your stride. They can tell who you are by the way you walk and stuff like that. So, and then they go, you're crazy. But really, if they have that Facebook and they go, wow, it determined my grandma from a picture when she was 13, black and white, that's amazing. So the fact of the matter is this technology isn't going away. We need to determine how to live with it in the future. There needs to be the idea of the field of philosophy is a really important field at this moment, because we need to, as a society, think about how we're going to deal with this and deep fakes and such. It's a really important, interesting conundrum for society, and rather than thinking about, are we in a dream within a dream, philosophers should actually think about this, and because these are important questions.
Dan, Eve.
Well, it's funny because I was going through with the Google app today. I was trying to find a picture of myself using a facial recognition thing, so I had to send it off somewhere. And whilst I was there looking for a picture, it said, can you confirm these other pictures? And it was all that outlier cases that the last time I must have gone through this, confirm process, I would have picked off the most obvious ones. But the latest ones were like, I was looking at some of the pictures and I was like, where the hell is my face? And no shit, there was literally like in one of them, it was like a picture of like my driver's license leaned up against the wall in the background and the square. And I was like, how the hell, so I wasn't even in this picture. It was just a picture of like my room and it managed to detect my face, like, that small. It's absolutely incredible. Now I was kind of going a different way with this is if you opt into these things, then, then it's okay, right? If you opt into having, and that your data is going to be shared about, then, you can have the choice to, right? Some people don't want their data, some people do. And what I thought was quite a cool concept a few years ago was like, if you could put, maybe not on all of your albums, but you could like tick a box which says something like, I agree that if someone is registered on whatever this app is and my face is their face is in the background, then that person can see that picture as well. So like I could go on there and all the people that have consented, and I could see myself, maybe after a few bevies at Glastonbury doing something crazy in the background of someone's photo. And I think that would be quite cool. But obviously, from a data protection perspective, like it's a massive can of worms. And like any technology, it's open to abuse. Bitcoin, amazing technology, open to abuse, not Bitcoin itself, but people trying to scam, etc. Any new technology gives people the ability to try and abuse it in some way. So whilst it's really like, it's been quite cool and useful in the past to kind of be tagged up and see, oh yeah, I remember that day, when I was out at so-and-so, it's also very dangerous. And we're, as Josh said, we're realizing it more and more with all the sort of restrictions, like the Hong Kong thing, where they had the cool, like the IR blockers and stuff like that, to go all the scanner blockers on people's faces. So we're seeing more and more ways that facial recognition can be abused, and it's only going to get more intrusive and more crazy, and we've got to protect our data in some way. And it doesn't sound like Facebook is giving up the game completely. I think it's just basically being shipped over to Metaverse or whatever it is, Meta. So, they're kind of doing it as a bit of a show thing to say we're not data abusers, probably to mask the recent whistleblower or whatever, and try and take some attention away from that, while still actually using the facial recognition service in Meta. So it's news, but not news.
You have to figure that this company's done such a good job managing your data so far. Why wouldn't you want them to manage your metaverse data as well, right? Just keep connecting them. Moving on to the exit question. As Neil Stephenson defined in his book Snow Crash the word metaverse, the book is a nightmare of corporatism. Kentucky Fried Chicken is as powerful as the US government. When you work for KFC, you live at KFC, and you follow the rules of KFC. This is where the word metaverse, Facebook's meta, comes from. Is Facebook aware of this? And are they trying to make the new metaverse a corporate hellhole where everything would be bought and sold? Most importantly, your information and everything that you do in the metaverse. Adam Meister, the future of Facebook's metaverse?
I don't think it's sinister. I think they see an incredible opportunity out there. What the last 1.5 years have shown is that a large percentage of the world population enjoys never leaving their house and enjoys living in a virtual world. So make the freaking most money in the virtual world is what their goal is. Jump in on this hardcore before the other big power brokers in industry get into it. Beat Twitter and Google and Microsoft to the punch and dominate this metaverse world. The metaverse is real. You don't have to live in the freaking metaverse. But what the last over 1.5 years have shown is that there are many a person that will never get over being hypochondriacs and they will live in their houses for the rest of their lives, and their real world will become the internet. Their real world will become virtual reality. Imagine if 5% of the population of the entire planet becomes that way. This is a huge opportunity for the early companies that jump into it. So yeah, they're going to have their corporate branding all over the freaking metaverse. Okay, that's what they do. They are a corporation. They are there to make money. But is this a sinister way to usurp the United States government or something? No, it's not. It is an incredible opportunity based on the insanity of the land. And you know what? The world was going digital anyway. I mean, kids growing up today, they know how to use those their phones immediately. Okay, it's like they were born. But things have been sped up, and some people have become completely afraid of society. You used to be called mentally ill if you couldn't leave your freaking house. Okay, you had agoraphobia, whatever it was, you had fear of the real world. Now it's great. It's encouraged by governments and stuff. So why not take advantage of the future population of the world that will never freaking leave their freaking houses? It's not Facebook's fault that 10% of the freaking world doesn't want to live, is scared of the world, is scared to touch another human being. That makes the metaverse freaking real, quote unquote real. And yeah, good luck to compete. Don't complain in the metaverse. You don't have to be in the metaverse. They're in the metaverse. No one go out and like enjoy life, people. Really. But if you hate on Facebook because you can't leave your house and you're envious of them dominating your fake little world, I mean, it's your fault that they're dominating your fake little world. All right, that's it.
Josh Shagala.
Yeah, I agree with Adam there. Facebook is definitely taking advantage of the metaverse. I love VR. I've been an early adopter in the space. I think it's really, really interesting. I love and hate it because I do see it as escapism. I've always said that VR will be the drug of the future, or drugs are based on escapism, and VR is the ultimate escape. Well, drugs, DMT, I guess, where you really like going to somewhere else. But the fact of the matter is, certain drugs don't want, you start to learn and you don't want to go back there. You sort of like, whereas VR really sucks you in and plays with you. Imagine all the engineers, the social engineers that are working at Facebook to try and figure out how to really squeeze that dopamine, really squeeze it every last little bit, so you get really addicted to that space. Absolutely, it's about network effect. The thing is that online, the switching cost is really, really small to certain things, but the switching cost, generally online digital spaces, like it doesn't cost me much to move. What it does cost, if all my friends are somewhere and I want to take them all to somewhere else, it's a very high cost. I have to convince them all to move somewhere else. So what Facebook is trying to do is get that network effect onto in the metaverse right now. And this is why they started with this home thing, to get everyone in there and try to bid it out. But yeah, it's I wouldn't trust them. I don't trust Facebook. I don't trust any sort of large corporation. I just don't trust them, especially if they're free. I try to stay away from them and find an alternative. Yeah. Mark, I mean, it's something, the visuals of Mark as well. He's such a weird dude. And so him and the history of Facebook and trying to like pull you on, and then you've got like these images of people with a mask and a face thing on and go, yeah, I'm so happy. You just sort of think, oh God, man, this is weird. No, I just don't want to. Yeah.
But he's got a jar of barbecue sauce on his shelf that he's using as a bookend. So you can trust him. He's totally normal. He's just like you. Dan, Eve, your thoughts on the Facebook metaverse?
Well, I think Josh is right. They're capitalizing on being kind of, trying to be leaders in the industry. They've obviously got a huge market with being one of the biggest subscribed service of humans on earth. So it's probably going to be quite easy for them to draw people in, because people already they're already staying at home, they're already doing nothing. Why not escape into this alternative world? It's been a sci-fi thing for a while, hasn't it? Oh well, for years, obviously, being able to escape into another little electronic universe. The way he was talking about the other day was almost like he'd invented VR. Like, that was quite interesting. It was like almost like, wow. Like, and you're like, well, there's like Second Life years ago. There's all sorts, that obviously preceded that. Not obviously in a VR sense, but with a world where you had assets and all sorts of stuff like that. But ultimately, I think they've got a good ground, like to promote their product and take advantage of the fact that people are scared to go out, but the people are scared to go and mingle nowadays, and they're all COVID. They've got the COVID fear. So what can they do? They can stay in their house, all nice and safe, and then escape to this crazy reality, whatever it is. Maybe someone's invented a world where COVID didn't exist in VR, and they can't. Well, obviously, because you can't get COVID over VR, but maybe you can. I don't know. Anything's possible nowadays. Maybe Mark will I don't know. Maybe he'll spread a virus electronically that turns into a bio one. I don't know. All sorts of crazy stuff could happen. Just ask Alec Jones.
Warning, spoilers ahead. But when William Gibson invented the word cyberspace, when Neil Stephenson invented the word metaverse, they were talking about the internet. They were talking about the internet that you're using right now. Now, certainly we didn't want it all to be in the web browser. That's something that happened along the way. Everything got put into HTTP. We lost a lot of the other TPs like FTP and Fetch and all these other services and different ways to use this network, which is the metaverse, which is cyberspace. You're already in it. So I agree with Dan. Second Life already exists. If you want to walk around in a weird virtual world and make weird virtual stuff, it's already there. There's already little like JavaScript programs that make a 3D gallery for your NFTs. You can walk around and look at your NFTs. You can have people over and show off your NFTs. I don't see a lot being gained by having Facebook control the virtual world. The most important thing about the internet was interoperability, the ability of anyone to make a new service. Like, there was MySpace, and then there was Facebook, there was Yahoo, and there was Google, and there was Alta Vista. There was all these other search engines, all these competitors like DuckDuckGo now, and these other services. Having one service, having one gatekeeper, especially if it's Facebook, sounds like a disastrous and horrible vision for the future. Even if they have all the money, even if they already have your account, and you'd have to create a new account if you used Open Metaverse, but you can just Facebook login into Facebook or Instagram login because they've already got you there. It just seems like a disaster waiting for humanity. Instead of breaking up these companies and making them actually compete with each other the way that Instagram on its own would compete with Facebook, it would be a rival photo sharing service if it wasn't purchased by Facebook. WhatsApp would be a rival messaging service if it wasn't purchased by Facebook. Instead, we're going backwards. We're allowing companies like Google to become Alphabet, and then they just own a rainbow of services that control our data. Facebook becomes Meta, owns another rainbow of services that control our data. We're going backwards. It seems quaint at the time to talk about when they were going to break up Microsoft, so we'd have an operating system company and we'd have an office services company, and they would compete with other similar companies. And certainly it's very complicated to say break up Facebook, or even separate Instagram, separate WhatsApp. Let's go back to that as a start. It's going to get even worse when they tie it all together into Meta and their metaverse. And we're just allowing them to do this again. Remember, the first time we built these internet services, we did it by advertising and whoever could do it the cheapest. And that's how we got these crap social networks that don't protect the users, that don't value your data, that don't value your input, and are using you as inputs for advertising. So Meta gets us set up to use more and more of our data as inputs for advertising. We're going backwards here. We're not going forwards. Go ahead,
I think one of the biggest moves in that direction was Google's choice, very deliberate choice, to remove the RSS reader as a major part of their offering. Google used to have a very, very cool RSS reader where you could basically subscribe to individual websites that were hosted by individuals around the web, blogs, and then you would have a reader and you could jump across to individual nodes in the web. By them discontinuing that, which it was a very, very popular part of Google, by then purposefully removing that and discontinuing it, they caused the aggregators of data to become what they were trying to do, which was Google Plus and Wave and all these other things that became defunct. But at the end of the day, Facebook really, and Reddit and other services Twitter as well, became the aggregator to look at curated content or to look for content that you might be interested in. And these algorithms became very, very good at determining what you are interested in. And so you kept on going back there because it was like a trough of it was a news feed. You literally feed off of this. And so I think it's about consciously going back and using RSS, because there's still great RSS readers out there. They might not come from Google, but there's really good ones. And blogs by default do offer RSS feeds. And for those kids that don't know what that means, it's basically a way for you to subscribe to individual blogs that aren't centrally controlled and be able to pull the headlines of the latest news into something centralized that you control, and you can unsubscribe from and subscribe to them. The reason why people don't blog and have their own blogs, and that they'd rather use Medium, is because of that simple one button, subscribe. And it allows people to see, oh, wow, and keep coming back. If you have your own blog in the middle of the internet, you might as well be farting in a massive, like, giant storm. No one's going to smell you. No one's going to see you. No one's going to hear the fart. You're not going to get noticed. And so really, RSS is an amazing technology. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was invented by Aaron, what was his name?
Aaron Schwartz.
Schwartz, yeah, inventor of Reddit as well, one of the co-founders. Aaron Schwartz was a big part of RSS, and rest in peace, Aaron. But
Aaron Schwartz, who was persecuted and driven to suicide because he downloaded JSTOR articles illegally and posted them on the internet, which is now being done in mass by Sci-Hub. So it just shows what a difference a few years make. Sci-Hub, supported by user donations. Aaron Schwartz did not receive any support and felt very alone, I imagine, towards the end. But yeah, I agree, Josh. RSS is amazing technology. Google killed it for advertising. They weren't getting enough advertising in there. It was hurting their main products. They went in that advertising direction. The main thing here is that these companies believe that you are cheapskates and will not pay for anything. You won't pay $10 a month to use Google. You won't pay $10 a month to use Facebook, to use Twitter. If we did, they could offer a completely different model that would be based on protecting us rather than being a parasite or a vampire and feeding off of us. Unfortunately, the death of Reader led to many websites removing their RSS feeds, led to many people not using RSS, has decreased the ecosystem of RSS. So it is still available, but it's much more difficult than it used to be. And it's a much less interesting web than we have now, than we used to. Because I agree, Josh, I used to have my own blog, and now I pretty much do the same thing on my blog that I do on Twitter. Short messages, links, a lot of daily posting, a lot of posts. That was all on my old blog, and now it's on Twitter for the reasons you've given. I want people to look at it. I want people to have a conversation, to share it around, to talk about it. And
that's right.
That wasn't happening on my personal blog.
After Reader got taken down,
Reader.
Yeah.
I think we're running out of issues. I think we're going to go to the prediction or story of the week. Dan, I know you're ready with a prediction or a story of the week. Let's go to Dan first.
These are going to be linked, and you'll see why when I move from one to the next. Wait there. Which one do I say? Oh, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so today, my story of the week is that today I had so Adam, who's the organizer for Coinfest UK. He's back on the case with Coinfest and on his feet again. And he is. I've just confirmed that I'll be. Sorry, I'm in a waffle. I confirmed that I'll be singing, rapping at Coinfest this year. So 25th of November, come to Coinfest. And it will be totally awesome. And you'll get to see me waffle on a microphone, but a different microphone.
Very cool. In Manchester, UK, check out Coinfest. It's towards the end of the month, November 25th. Kind of lines up with American Thanksgiving, but if you're over there in the UK or the EU, I hope you'll check out Coinfest. Adam Meister, do you have a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
Well, I'll tie it to what we've been talking about. Mainstream media is going to keep on coming up with silly articles, and the algorithms will pump them, and the algorithm slaves will believe them. We were talking about RSS feeds before. Treat your social media as web pages. Don't rely on what's fed to you. I go to people's Twitter feeds. I go to their Twitter and I read everything that they tweeted. I don't let Twitter spit out. I never check my whatever they spit out to me. Okay, I don't know what it's even called. The feed, their feed. I go to people's specific Twitter pages, read their thing, and here's the news that the mainstream media thought was very important to tell us today. Beware of the flippening. 7 crypto experts break down the ominous sounding event and its implications for Bitcoin. And I said, the mainstream media is so out of touch with Bitcoin that they write a 2017 article in 2021 and think it is original and enlightening. So that's the state of the world today. If you see what's trending on Twitter, it's flippening. I mean, if you understand how insane that is and how we've already lived through all these stories from 2017, you are in great shape. You are not an algorithm slave. You think for your freaking self. So think for your freaking self. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt, TechBalt. And I'm disruptmeister.com. You can watch all my 2,000 freaking videos I've made since 2013 about Bitcoin. Strong hand, guys. Have that conviction. Great job, Thomas.
Excellent stuff, Adam. Thanks so much. Josh Segala, prediction or story of the week. Go ahead.
Well, the prediction is that, the story of the week really is that we just gave away our second prize. Every week we're giving away a bunch of prizes for those that join our white list here. And AirPods, the 3rd generation, pretty cool technology. So join the whitelist at thestandard.io. And we've started a Discord. Yep, we've done it. This is what it is. I can't stand Telegram, guys. I was in there. Telegram did my head in. So many people. It's just constant flow of crap. With Discord, we can organize it nicely. We can have fun little competitions. We can talk about stuff, discuss different technologies, discuss cryptography, and really get in there and actually have conversations. So. Jump onto the standard.io. We literally launched it today, so it's not up there yet, but jump on the standard.io and join up to the whitelist, and you'll get notified when you can jump in that.
Very cool. Thanks so much, Josh. And I think I'm losing my voice, so I think we're going to head to the end of this show. But thanks, everybody, for giving us that thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Like Adam said, check him out on Twitter at TechBalt. Check out the Bitcoin Meister shows. There's tons of them.
Amazing
like
stuff.
I said in the beginning, he's had one thing that he said. He said, stay humble, stack those sats, pound the like button. Like, that's it. Don't buy a fancy car. Don't buy fancy houses. Don't spend your Bitcoin. Even if you just keep your job, keep stacking those sats, and it'll work out in the end. And I think it's working out now for a lot of people. So
I also want to say my closing Friday line. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Very good, very good. It's great to have everybody today. And until next time, bye.
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 Oh, there's